Good evening and welcome again to our Bible reflection. The first part of today's Gospel, Jesus tells his disciples, "If you make my word your home, you will indeed be my disciples, and you will come to know the truth, and the truth will set you free." And I was thinking about what is this truth that Jesus is telling his disciples? And I think it might well be that you are beloved sons and daughters of God, a loving God who is your Father. And in fact, Jesus says, if you want to live that dignity, that beauty, follow me. And I will show you how to be sons and daughters of a loving God. Because Jesus, as we know, is the Son, and he will show us how. Because the truth will set us free. And Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And I was thinking of a beautiful experience it must have been for the harassed and dejected Israelites of that time. They were under Roman oppression. They were victimized with taxes and soldiers everywhere. So, what a great news, you will be free. And then I thought of back in, I forget what year it was now, but it was the early 70s when Pinochet conducted his bloody coup in Chile with disappearances, tortures, crimes of all sorts. And a few days after that happened, the bishops returned from a conference of the Latin American bishops into a very tense and difficult situation. And in the airport, they came through, obviously, through immigration, then through customs. And outside, they formed a line and unrolled a long strip of cloth. And on that cloth was written the words, "The truth will set you free." What a beautiful message for the people of Chile. A message of support in the face of torture and disappearances and crimes. The truth will set you free. And I was thinking of my own childhood, and maybe that of many others. How many times we've told what we used to call little white lies. For example, "Dad, I'm going out to kick the footy." "Oh, have you finished your homework?" "Yes, Dad." I hadn't. Or likewise, running out the door to go to school. "Have you cleaned your shoes?" "Yes, Mum." I hadn't. And so on. And each of those just didn't make me feel comfortable. It got me off the hook, but it just wasn't right. Recently we had a Columban meeting, and a Christian brother was invited to address us. And he, in part of his address, was about the experience of the Christian brothers of coming to terms with the fact of pedophilia in their ranks. And he was sharing how embarrassing it was to think that this fellow with whom you lived, or these fellows with whom you taught, and these fellows who you considered friends, were actually active. And he said, we were unfree as a congregation until we really came to terms with this reality. And he said, once we came to terms with that is what our story is, we were free. It didn't take away the pain, but it left them free. Because he did say that even today, For so many people, when they hear the word Christian brothers, the only thing they think of is pedophilia. And they forget the fantastic work that we've done over hundreds of years, educating, forming, encouraging young people to be real people, to be whole. And I was thinking the same for how would it be for Aussie? Because I know at the moment there's quite a bit of concern about the content of history that is being taught to school kids. And the history has been biased very much in favour of our dark side. Now we have a dark side, which we haven't really embraced, but we have a good side as well. And there are wonderful achievements in our history. Even though we are a colonising, or have been a colonising, and a conquering people. We took over this land for ourselves. But there are also wonderful achievements in it. And so the truth will set us free. And if we can embrace all of that, we'll indeed be a free people. It's a little bit like an alcoholic. An alcoholic, once he comes to terms with his reality, with who he is or how he is, he can be free. And she can take the steps that are needed, painful as they be, to remain free. And so it is when we look at Jesus. I have come that you might have life and have it to the full. And that means free. That means become who you are. Embrace your reality, your world, your possibilities. Be free. And I am the way, the truth, and the life. And if we can accept who we are, to be humble about that, and that means being honest. It doesn't mean self-effacing. It means being honest. We can also be free. And we can share that freedom and that love with others by being disciples of Jesus. Thank you. God bless.